I have been watching and listening to Glenn Beck on and off for almost 20 years now. I don't always agree with him. Sometimes I think he takes the theatrics a bit too far. He's got a tendency to make things seem worse than they actually are. The world's always coming to an end. It was supposed to happen 15 years ago. All of us wake up the next morning. The world's supposed to end 5 years later, then another 5 years later, yet here we are. We're all still here. Now, even though I don't always agree with Glenn Beck, I do like him. I have a lot of respect for him. He's one hell of an entertainer. He's a great storyteller. Believe it or not, a lot of the time, Glenn Beck actually gets things right. He's terrible with his timing, but he does have the vision to get things right. I can't remember the exact year that he said this. It was sometime during Barack Obama's first term. Glenn Beck predicted that eventually the masks were going to come off. The woke movement that we see today, it's not something new. These beliefs that have become mainstream, they've been around for decades, but they've always been underground. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they kept their true beliefs disguised. They didn't feel comfortable exposing their twisted agenda to the country. They started exposing their true agenda sometime after the death of George Floyd. It started with the promotion of mythical racism. That fantasy led to the birth of mythical misogyny. Now, even though both of those are bullshit, I wouldn't necessarily describe them as being evil. It was lies, it was propaganda, but I wouldn't call it demonic. Unfortunately, though, that is no longer the case. The masks have been removed. The devil, he's showing his hand. With mythical racism, they were victimizing minorities. With mythical misogyny, they were victimizing women. Now, they are admitting that they want to come after your children. And it's no longer speculation at this point. Over the last couple of months, we speculated that Bud Light was targeting children with the endorsement from Bob Dylan Mulvaney. Target was damn sure going after kids when they promoted tuck-friendly bathing suits designed to fit an 8-year-old. Over the weekend in New York City, parishioners of Woke United Methodist, they finally admitted what we have known all along. They are coming after the minds of your children. And to the surprise of no one, the mainstream media, they are either refusing to cover the story or they are framing the narrative that the people who are openly admitting that they're going after your kids, the media is pretending those people are somehow the victims. The shitfucks are the victims of hateful parents who are outraged. How dare these bigots refuse to comply with our demands? Every child has the right to identify as a Cocker Spaniel. 15 or so years ago, when Glenn Beck said the mask would eventually come off, he hoped at the time that we would never reach that point. He hoped the country would not be overtaken with that level of evil. There is just no other way to describe what I'm about to share with you, but before I get into these clips, let's get to the sponsor for today's video, the good people at All Strokes Matter. Over the last couple of months, we have discussed the fact that a lot of mainstream brands have professed their love of the pride. Target, Kohl's, North Face. If you're a normal person, it's getting harder and harder to buy clothes without supporting brands that don't align with your personal values. A couple of weeks ago, I had someone email me asking if I had any shopping suggestions. She was looking for clothes for her husband and wanted a brand that refused to dip their logo in the rainbow. At the time, I didn't have a suggestion, but now I finally do. Let me tell you about my friends at All Strokes Matter. Do not let the name fool you. My friends at All Strokes Matter, they are the complete opposite of the organization Black Lives Matter. They love and support our military and share the same values that we have. Plus, they've got an amazing line of clothing. This one right here is one of my favorites. You guys know how much I love my hoodies and my long sleeve tees. Let me just model it a bit for you. I don't even know if you can see my head on the camera right now, but I'm sure most of you guys remember those parental warning labels that used to come on CDs. They have taken that same design and used it for fitted hats. When you spend your hard-earned money with All Strokes Matter, you can rest assured that a portion of the proceeds is going to be used to help veterans who served in our military instead of funding the next gay Pride Parade. Click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Save 30% off your first order with All Strokes Matter. All right, this weekend was a very special weekend in New York City. It wasn't because Brooklyn hosted the NBA draft on Thursday night. It wasn't because the Yankees are in the middle of a huge series against the Rangers. Matter of fact, it's kind of ironic that the Texas Rangers are in New York this weekend, the only Major League Baseball team who refuses to host annual celebrations of the Pride, that decision was cemented with what they were exposed to this weekend. This weekend, New York City hosted their annual drag march. You guys remember how in the past, parents would be outraged that young children were attending these drag marches? I'm talking about kids so young that they didn't have the choice as to whether or not they wanted to be there. The shit they were exposed to was absolutely egregious. Grown men spanking each other with stiff objects. Ooh, pain is pleasure. There were plenty of servings of the Pound My Brown cake. Ooh, I'll have seconds. At the time, we thought it couldn't get any worse. I mean, seriously, that's about as low as you can go, right? But the shit fucks, they never disappoint. They always find unique ways to flaunt their depravity. I know some people think that Woke United Methodist is just a satirical creation. Woke United Methodist is real. Just because you don't pass a building with a steeple labeled Woke United Methodist on the street, it doesn't mean that this is not a religious movement. Watch this clip. You tell me if this doesn't look like a prayer gathering. Roll the film.
This is our ring of protection.
This is our ring of protection.
Solidarity.
Solidarity.
And our intention.
And our intention.
Gather in the east.
We gather in the east.
The village.
The village.
Tompkins Square Park.
Tompkins Square Park.
Home to the 1874.
Home to the 1874.
And the 1988.
And the 1988.
Riot.
Riot.
Shout out to Tim Pool. Credit to Tim Pool for making the sacrifice to capture this footage. As someone who has spent many Sundays covertly attending services at Woke United Methodist, I know how filthy you can feel after spending long periods of time around the grotesque. Tim, I recommend getting yourself professionally cleansed. Just make sure you don't utilize the services that are offered during Woke Bath Wednesday. But anyway, what you just saw was a gathering of the confused praying to the woke oak tree. Oh, tree, please drop your nuts on my face. Give us the strength to replicate the riots of 1874 and 1988. I would be willing to bet 99.9% of the people praying to the oak tree, they have no idea what the riots of 1874 were about. Although the people rioting in 1874, they do have something in common with the shit fucks. They're both unemployed. Now you saw the people in that crowd. Do you think any respectable business is going to give them a job? Maybe they could find gainful employment working at the factory that produces Preparation H. Maybe. But then you got to worry about tubes mysteriously missing. What the hell happened? We were producing 2,000 tubes an hour. Our production level's down 50%. What is that pink-haired birthing person doing over there squatted down in the corner? The strange behavior in that clip that I just showed you, that pales in comparison to what you're about to see. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they are no longer being subtle. They no longer care if their true agenda is revealed. They are coming right out and telling you, we are coming for your kids. Oftentimes at these marches of misery, they come up with these creative chants. We're women, we're proud, we go by he, him pronouns. Or, we're men with bras, we paid for these tatas. Or my personal favorite, my hair is purple and it glows, I want to be Meg Rapinoe. If you didn't have the visual footage of these pride parades and you were hearing audio only, you would think this were a cheerleading competition. And they were damn sure cheering in the streets of New York City this weekend. Now I'm going to black out some of this footage because there's some nudity that was captured here. Some woman was marching the streets with no top on. Well, at least I think it was a woman. To be honest, the haircut made it look like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. For those that wanted to see this beauty and are questioning why I'm refusing to show it to you, just trust me. Just trust me. If you search for the video yourself, you're going to thank me later. You don't want to see this. The visual isn't all that important anyway because I want you to focus on the chant. Focus on the words. Listen to the admission. Just like Beck predicted all those years ago, they are removing the mask. They are telling you exactly what they're doing. Roll the film. There's just no other way to describe it. This is pure evil. And look, I would call this evil if straight porn stars were chanting the same thing in the streets. But according to the New York Times, the demonic forces, they were not present at this Pride March. No! According to the New York Times, these people are the victims. Headline at the New York Times: ahead of New York City Pride Parade, worries about LGBT rights. What worries? What rights? They've already been given their rights. You can make a strong case they have more rights than the rest of us. If Catholic Carl was chanting in the streets that he was coming for your children, his ass would be in jail. The New York Times claimed that pissed off parents were attacking the LGBT community. Here we go again with this false narrative, because this could not be further from the truth. According to their own article, 60 to 70% of the population supports the LGBT community. We are not protesting the rights of Stan to marry his lover Dan. Hell, most people would sell them the drumstick so they could play the butt bongo all night. No one gives a fuck about what you're doing in your bedroom. People are not pushing back against the LGBT community. They are pushing back against Woke United Methodist. Parents are pushing back against the people who are openly admitting to coming after their children. It's absolutely disgusting. And I don't know what's worse, the people in the streets that are chanting this or the mainstream media being complicit. Guess how many woke media outlets picked up this story? One, the New York Times, and their article was complete bullshit. It was propaganda. Nothing from the Washington Post, nothing from USA Today. Hell, I figured the Star Trek virgin Mike Freeman, I figured he would be all over this story. After hearing these chants, I thought he would identify as a young Luke Skywalker, hoping a lonely shitfuck would come after him. Just, I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Pride marchers in the streets of New York City openly admit that they want to come after your children. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.